Hi guys, welcome again to another conversation session. My name is Victoria. If this is your first time watching my video, you're welcome. Help me to click the subscription button. Help me to comment what you think. And yeah, you're welcome. So how are you all doing? I hope you've been fine. Well, like I always say, no matter what's happening in your life, if there's nothing at all to be grateful about, let's be grateful for life. So yeah, I'm really happy to have you here. Okay, so today I've decided to give you guys a story time. So of my last video where I talked about the waiting period, I mentioned that one of the things that tends to happen during the waiting period is you get this unwanted feelings. It's possible. And I did mention that it has happened to me. So I'm going to share with you today my experience, how it started, how I got into it, how I got out of it, and most importantly, what I learned from it. So let me know at the end of it all what advice you can give to me, because I'm still in this waiting period, so that please, I would avoid that kind of pitfall again. So yeah, thank you very much. Let's get talking. All right, so when it happened, I was in year 2 in university. The guy had just come to the university to do his master's. He's a really nice guy, makes quite good conversation. And if you know me, I like to talk. I like to be in discussion with people. I like to be involved in healthy debates. And so if I meet people who make great conversation, we click like that. And it was just that. But me being a woman, before you knew it, I began to realize that when I'm not around this guy, I'm missing him. I was reaching out to him a lot. Even though most times he was sort of ignoring me, because I would text him, he's not really answering back. Sometimes it would take him like 2 or 3 hours before he respond. When I call him, sometimes he will pick, sometimes he will not pick, and all those things. But I began to realize that I was creating fantasies. I was making up a life with him together in my head. So first of all, I had to admit it that, okay, this isn't normal. This is weird. Because it even means that whenever I'm around him, I'm doing too much. I'm going over the top, And another thing is I began to grow. It's amazing because normally when you even go this unwanted feelings for people, it tends to make you do, like I said, extra. And when you're not getting back that extra, if you're not careful, you begin to resent and become bitter. Because I was complaining to myself now that, so with everything I'm doing for this guy, he can't even see it. Because I feel like I was doing everything and anything for him, but he wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't getting anything in return. So that was the first thing. Another thing that made me realize was this. Being a Christian young girl who have learned and have come to understand that it is very important to marry a man who loves God, a man who is rooted in God, I now made it my mission to make him become a prayer warrior. Like I wanted him to be rooted in Christ. I was trying to forcefully make him become a man of prayer. And I did that by, at that time we were in the same Christian fellowship together in the university. And this fellowship that we belonged to, we used to have Bible study an hour every Wednesday evening, and prayer meetings an hour on Thursdays, and evangelism on Saturdays, and Sunday service on Sundays. To be very honest, he was consistent with the Wednesday Bible study, but when it came to the Thursday prayer meetings, he never attended. So first of all, I made it my sole purpose and aim to get him to start attending the prayer meetings, so that gradually from then, he'll become this man of prayer, man of war, man of battle in prayer. But guess what? That doesn't happen. I tried so hard. I'll tell you some of the things I did. So I lived about 15 or 20 minutes walk away from the university. And he lived about a minute or two from the university. And also from the church where we normally used to have the prayer meetings. So when I finished uni, and the prayer meetings used to be in the night, I think it was around 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. So when I finished uni on Thursdays around 5:15, 5:15, I'll quickly go home. I will cook. I will pack the food in all these food warmers and containers. And then I'll go to his house, like his apartment, I mean, student accommodation, unannounced. I guess he was being a nice guy. So even though I could tell on his face, like, why are you doing here? I didn't invite you. He'll still be nice. He'll let me in. And the accommodation he was living in, it was those kind of accommodations where you have your own room with a toilet and a bathroom, with a toilet and a bath. But then you share a kitchen with other students. And normally we just sit in his kitchen because though I had grown all these unwanted feelings towards this guy, trust me, my moral standards were still here and they are still here. So I don't go and sit with him in his room. No, I stay in the kitchen. And also being that one, you have an uninvited guest in your apartment and she's not willing to stay in your room with you. I'm sure he also felt like, okay, I can't really leave her to sit in my kitchen alone. So he doesn't have a choice than to sit with me. Sometimes I'll be there for like 3 hours, just while I wait time. Let's say I'll go around 9 p.m. So I will be there until it's about like 11 so that I could just cajole him and say, oh, we might as well just go in for the prayer meeting together. Because I thought that would work. It never worked. So we'll eat the food, we end up talking and resting a bit. And when it's getting to the time of prayer meeting, this guy will make one excuse or the other. Either how he has one assignment or he needs to make a Skype call to somebody, or he would always come up with something. And so it always ended up me going alone. Now I did this thing several times, almost for like 2 months, and that didn't work. So I became frustrated because I felt like, what exactly is going on? Clearly, this guy, he responds to me when I talk to him. He seems to enjoy my company. So why is he not feeling what I'm feeling? Why is he not responding to the way I'm treating him? So yeah, it was at that point I realized that something wasn't right because I was given too much and yet I wasn't receiving anything in return. Also, I realized that he was actually doing all those things for somebody else and she didn't even seem to care. So that was when I realized that, okay, Victoria, there's something going on here and something needs to be done about it. So what did I do? I'm very glad I took that step. I decided to speak to my pastor then, Pastor Benjamin Dobeto. Shout out to you, Pastor Ben. Yeah, I decided to speak to him and I'm thankful for his counsel. He didn't make it awkward. He was understanding. He helped me to get to the point. And no, actually, before I even go there, I also realized that I had a dream about him, which was even what made it go insane. Because, as a Christian and after learning and hearing people during testimony talk about how God spoke to them through a dream and everything, immediately I had a dream about this guy. I was like, definitely, even God is telling me, that's the guy for you, Victoria. That's the guy going to be your husband. So I was so sure. I was just so pinned on it. But the truth is, I later on realized that because I'd been thinking, when the feelings grew, I encouraged it, I nursed it inside my heart, and I'd been thinking, fantasizing in my head, the colors that we're going to have in our house, the names that we'll be naming our kids and everything. It led me into having dreams about it. But I didn't realize until when I spoke to my pastor. I explained everything to him. I was very open. I was very honest. He prayed with me. And then through different things that happened, helped me realize that, okay, Victoria, this is what is going on with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not a sin, but how you deal with it is very important. So what then did I do? First of all, I started cutting down on the amount of times that I reached out to him. So I wasn't texting him as much anymore. I wasn't calling him as much anymore. And even over time, he began to realize, because there was a time that he came up to me and said to me, Victoria, for the past 1 month, I can actually count how many words you've said to me. And at that point, as much as I felt bad, because he hadn't really offended me or done anything personally to me, in my head, I felt like that was my own way of trying to heal from something that had happened. So trying to find the balance between still relating to him so that he doesn't, begin to feel like, okay, she's avoiding me, coupled with me being in a position where I am healing from that attachment, or getting to the point where I can detach myself from him. That was another thing. I will not lie, it was hard. There were times that I had to cry and pray to God and tell God, I don't want this. I've realized that this is all me. I didn't start it, but I encouraged it and I helped it to grow. But now I want to be free, because you will agree with me that that one-sided affection or one-sided love or one-sided emotion is draining, and it's one of the worst things that you can go through. I believe that everybody's desire is to love people and have those people love them back as much as they love them, or even more. So when you find yourself in a position where you have feelings towards somebody and the person does not show any feelings at all towards you, it can be heartbreaking. So yeah, definitely that was my experience. And I think what I learned out of that is this thing of nothing said, nothing implied, which again I mentioned in my last video. So if you've not watched my last video, please go and watch it. It's titled Unspoken Reality 001, The Waiting Period. Over there I talked about the phrase that I heard, which was nothing said, nothing implied. Because when we I know they say actions speak louder than words. It's very true. But as much as action speaks louder, words also speak. And especially when it comes to relationships, because you're dealing with another individual who has a mind of their own, it's always good not to assume. Always make sure you get clarity. Make sure you get evidence of words. Make sure you hear him or her say it. So when you begin to think it, then you have to create an avenue where there will be a communication where you can bring it up so you can get clarity. If not, you will end up just wasting your time, and it could become something that will become more difficult to heal. For example, I have a friend. He dated a girl for 7 years and they broke up. And when at the point where they broke up, I asked him what happened. And he said to me, oh, nothing really. He just realized that they were better off as friends. So I said to him, you date a girl for 7 years. Like, think of it. I give you 7 years of my life and you wake up one day to say, we are better off as friends. Like, you didn't realize throughout the 7 years we spent together, you waited till now. And he said to me, to be fair, Victoria, it's because I never really intended to date her. I never really officially asked her to be my girlfriend or to be with me. So I said, okay, was she the one that initiated it then? Then he said, not really. It's just, so I was like, okay, I would like to hear the story. And he said to me, well, they were in secondary school and they were close friends. You know, they were kind of what you may call best friends. And so people just began to put this name tag on them. When people see him, they'll ask, oh, where's your girlfriend, so and so person? And then he'll have to go, she's not my girlfriend. And the same thing, people would see the girl and ask, where's your boyfriend? And he was explaining, he's not my boyfriend. So he said over time, they just got tired of explaining themselves and defending themselves. And it's almost as if they just decided to just assume the position. If people are calling you my girlfriend and people are calling me your boyfriend, maybe we'll just go with it. So he was like, that's how it started. So they didn't really talk about it. He said it didn't really start from the heart. It was just a thing of people are saying. And so let's just see how it goes. And after 7 years, he realizes, you know what? I don't want to do this. So again, nothing said, nothing implied, because he didn't say anything and she also didn't say anything and they were just going. At this point, it didn't imply anything. They've been through 7 years and it meant almost nothing. And that's 7 years of your life wasted. So it's very, very important that at every point we define our relations. And this goes to whether mother and children, parents and children, between siblings, husband and wife, between best friends. It's always good to define your relation at each point. What is going on? What is happening? This is my expectation of you. And I also understand this is your expectation of me. So that at each point, nobody's confused, nobody's conflicted, and everybody is sort of like on the same level. So yeah, that's my story. I don't regret it, to be very honest, but I wouldn't wish it for anybody as well. Especially when you get to a certain age. I feel like when you're from like the age of 16, maybe even to 21, you feel like it's okay, you have time. But when you go from that age of 22, 23, you really don't. Imagine you're 23 and then you start seeing a guy. 7 years later, you are 30 and he tells you, I'm not interested anymore. We are better off as friends. Where are you going to start from? Where are you going to do? I had somebody come up to me the other day, a 16-year-old girl, and she says to me, oh, she said there's this guy she really likes, but the guy has made it clear that he never wants to get married. But she definitely knows that in the future she wants to get married and have kids. And I thought to myself, I don't know about you, maybe you're 16, so it's possible you consider it for now. And I mean, you still have time somehow. You still have a bit of time. So even if after 4 years, when you're 20, you decide I don't want it anymore, it's still okay. But for me at my age, I don't care how much I'm in love with you. If I realize that what I want, you can't give me, just be going. The Lord be with you. Let me also be going. The Lord be with me. That's just it. So it's, like I said, it's very important that we define all relations. It's very important that we speak up. Be sure of what we are doing. Be sure that what I'm thinking is really what it is and not live on assumptions, so that everybody can be content and everybody can be happy. And like I've said, based off of my friend's scenario that I gave, my next video, which is going to be the Unspoken Reality 002, is going to be about friendship and how all these labels are overrated. Because personally, I believe that a lot of people are missing out on great friendship because they are too quick to put labels on things. These days, it's almost about as if when a girl and a guy are friends and they get along 2 weeks, they believe that then they have to date. But I believe that there are people that make a great team, be it in the workplace, be it as friends, be it as siblings. That doesn't mean that they will make a good couple. But it's as if society these days makes it seem as if, oh, immediately you gel with somebody, immediately like you vibe well with somebody, you have to date the person. Well, I don't necessarily believe or go by that, but I'm going to talk about that in my next video. So this is where I say, stay awesome.